Polls in Canada. So we did not get the Christmas election that some people, including myself, actually was hoping for. I thought the Conservatives would do well in it. But we're looking probably more at the spring, this summer now, though it's not guaranteed, but probably. And how is the polling going? Well, Conservatives are pretty much holding steady where they were on election night. The Liberals as well. This is an Abacus data poll. They're really good. They're very accurate, actually. So, I would guess there's probably a 1.5% margin of error on this. So basically a dead heat, a tie. In that scenario, Conservatives actually have a bit of an advantage because their vote is a bit more efficient than the Liberals now. The Liberals used to have a more efficient vote, but that seems to have gone. So this is good. It means that Pierre Poilievre is not losing his support. Let's not forget that the 41.5% he got in the election was the most that any Conservative had gotten in 40 years. So it was actually an impressive figure. It was just the collapse of the NDP and the consolidation of the leftist loony vote in Canada that cost Pierre the election. This wave of data reinforces what we have been observing for much of the fall. The fundamentals of the federal political landscape remain remarkably stable despite some movement around the edges. The Carney government has seen a modest post-budget rebound in approval and leader impressions, but that shift has yet to translate into a wider lead in vote intention. Well, you have government approval here. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing because you can see 48% approval for Carney, 32% disapproval. Yet you see the polling here, it's basically a dead heat. So where will this go? I think Carney's approval and support for the Liberals can only go down as his government continues to, as the consequences of him being the prime minister continue to unravel. Because there is no relief coming for Canadians. There's nothing good coming for Canadians. Elbows up has turned into who cares. That is going to affect some voters. It had not huge amounts, not 10%. I mean, Liberal voters, you'd think that attitude is, maybe 1% or 2%, right? We're just going to, most people who vote Liberal are just lifers and they don't care. Mark Carney's promise could be that he's going to bring in refugees and take your house, give it to them, but give you a shovel so that you can dig a hole in the ground in the woods to live in from now on. And they will still, there's like 95% of Liberal voters will still vote for him, right? It's too unfashionable to vote for anybody else. There's another one here, Polling Canada federal model. This is from the 26th. It would have the Liberals at 172, which would give them a majority. CBC 133. I think this is an outlier. You've got Kolosowski Strategies, one of the most accurate pollsters of 2025. And this is from November 26th. Yet dead heat again, 44-44. They've only got the NDP at 3% there. So I don't know. I've got a feeling like NDP is they're not at 3%. They're definitely not at 3%. So I would think you could shave off some from both of these, probably more from the Liberal Party, actually. Then you've got just crazy polls like Ecos, who you could just ignore. They're nothing. So things are kind of holding steady. This is good for the Conservatives because Liberal support can't go up. It can only go down from here. Because there will be nothing good actually coming out, right? Nothing that's actually going to affect people's lives. Yes, there can be stories about the memorandum of understanding about a pipeline to Alberta, which is never going to happen, but it's supposed to, make Carney look like a moderate who's getting things done. But at the end of the day, it's how much money do you have, right? Do you still have a job? Are you being asked to wait, 13 years for your next doctor's appointment? Announcements aren't going to change any of that. Announcements from Carney about things that might happen at some point in the future aren't going to change those metrics. And at the end of the day, hopefully enough people will vote on reality. That's my hope. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.